just open it up for questions for Coach Painter. Who wants to go first?
Coach, early on you had contributions from everybody. I think at one point you had played 9 guys, 8 of them scored no more than 4 points, and then the one guy that hadn't scored was Hunter, and he'd harassed Winston into just 1 of 7 shooting. And just how important is that balance, especially early on,
right,
with after you have a great dominant effort from Trey on Thursday night, but
right,
everybody else kind of struggled at times.
Yeah. Well, I think the most important thing is what they do in their effort and how tough they are, how it really connects. And if you don't allow them to get in the open court because you can take care of the basketball, it's really going to help you. So we have 1 turnover in the first half. That's going to help us from a transition standpoint because we're not turning the ball over. So they'll live with 5 to 8 turnovers by their opponents every game and a half. And so now the more they can get in transition, the more they can generate open threes, drives, early post-ups, or the space for Cassius to play. So the fact that we didn't turn it over in the first half was, I thought, the best thing for us. Then not allowing them just to dominate the game. They've come in here before and dominated the game on the glass. So I think those 2 areas, if you can, I always say if you can limit them from an offensive rebounding standpoint and limit them in transition, now you have a chance. Doesn't guarantee you're going to win, but at least you got a chance to win. So that's what we've always tried to do. But if you're taking bad shots and turning the ball over, you're just putting yourself in a bad spot. But I think our balance really helped. Obviously we wanted to go inside to Travion to establish him, but I think we got great production across the board. Our bench played well. Obviously Matt Harms gave us good minutes. Boudreaux gave us good minutes, and then that really helped us.
You only had the 6 turnovers, so obviously you guys were very efficient yourself, but what's been kind of rare in Purdue Michigan State games too is you really turn them over a lot. They had 18, that doesn't usually happen. You talk about your on-ball pressure and how you got all that.
Yeah, well, we just wanted to be as active as we could. Really it comes down to Cassius because he had half of them. He had 9 turnovers, which is very rare for him. When he was younger, you could try to wear him down. And as it's progressed, you can't wear him down. But I thought today we were able to do it a little bit. Just having active hands, making it hard for him. Probably not every one of those turnovers is on him, even though you get them. But we have a lot of respect for him. I think sometimes young people won't respect really good players. And so from our coaching staff, we have the utmost respect for him and how he can control the game. He can control it with scoring, he can control it with passing, he can control it with his leadership and the example he sets. And but I just thought that they never really quite got into a rhythm. I don't want to put that on them or give us the credit. Sometimes, a lot of times it's, it's something a little bit in between, but they never quite got into that rhythm offensively. And I thought Eric Hunter did a really good job on him of just not trying to, do too much. Just kind of, when he's dribbling or whatever, just try your best to take up his space and not give him angles. But that's easier said than done. He's a great player.
When they had it down to, I think, 12, under 10 minutes to go, I think 24-6 thereafter, what went well there? It seemed like the effort was really good, the offensive execution was really good. What do you chalk all that up to?
Yeah, just trying to bottle them up. They had some shots today that was open, especially from their bigs that just didn't go down, and just trying to bottle them up, and then offensively, not trying to settle and trying to get the ball in the paint, whether we're driving the basketball or getting post-ups. I think if you live outside the paint against Michigan State, you're playing right into their hands. But I think that's the same way with any quality team or any quality program. Everybody's trying to keep that ball out of the paint, and everybody's trying to get into the paint.
But why was Evans so effective today? He hit a pair of threes in the first half, but the sequence of defense in the second half with the 2 charges and drawing the foul, what stands out about his day?
Well, that right there, just the spark that he gave us, going into the game and being able to knock down some perimeter shots. Anytime you can play that spot with a good low post player, that really helps. And we got some good looks from that spot before. Aaron had a couple good looks that just didn't go down. Travion made some nice passes on. And so just anytime you do that, you're going to help your spacing. You're going to make it a little bit easier to get, post-ups and a little bit easier to get the ball in the paint. Then the 2 defensive plays were huge. He did a great job of just holding his position and taking those charges.
just to go back to defending Cassius, obviously you guys are doing a lot of maybe hedging and maybe doubling off the ball screens. What all just has to happen behind that with a guy like him to make sure that you're not leaving somebody else open to burn you as well? So
Yeah.
work together for that defense to work.
And I think, a lot of times people will overreact to some makes, and that's what we try not to do. Like, we try to keep in perspective how dangerous he is and how good he is. And even though maybe if one guy makes a three or one guy makes an individual play, now we're like, okay, we got to go stop that guy. When in reality, you got to stop Cassius Winston. Because he's the true value of a player is, do you make other people better? And he does. They have some good players out there. I think Xavier Tillman makes other people better. I think he makes other people better. But the other guys are good players by themselves, but they don't have that same effect on the game. And then I think that's the true staple of a really good player, is that ability. So we have the utmost respect for him, but we're just trying to bottle him up. I feel the same way about Xavier Simpson. And obviously he got away from us a little bit. So we weren't doing anything different than how we regard him. They just never got going at all and got into a rhythm. And when that happens, sometimes it's hard on the road.
What did you see in your team there those last 10 minutes when you've kind of been in that position before where Michigan State always seems to make a run?
Right.
And you made the run. And it seemed like it was fueled by offensive rebounding and defense and things like that. Just what did that kind of tell you about the makeup of your team?
I think our score was close to, I think it was 1 point off at halftime from last year's score here. And then they made that run. Like they've been so good. 2 years ago when they beat us for the conference championship by 1 game, I think we were back to 18 games. We were 15-3. They were 16-2. They had like 5 games where that was the scenario. Maybe four or 5 games on the road where that was the scenario. I know Iowa was one, Northwestern was another, Maryland was one. It's not like I don't think about it a lot. And I just would see them on TV. I'm like, hell yeah, like Maryland's going to help us. Like Northwestern's going to help us. And they would just come charging back. And Cassius was so good at that, just kind of taking those guys on their back and getting them going. And so like you go to halftime, it's not something you want to talk to your team about. You don't want to put that. We don't have that kind of a team right now. We're trying to get consistency. We've shown in flashes, especially at home, that we can play well, but we haven't been consistent enough. So you're not going to talk about those things. You're just going to talk about the same things you talked about before the game and try to limit them. And we didn't allow that. Where last year, I don't know if we didn't allow it last year. There's 2 teams out there competing. And the other team's pretty good. So, but no, just trying to keep them down, keep them out of the paint. And not beat ourselves. A lot of times in those runs and those things happen that they're so good at, you give them some help. Don't help, just make them earn everything.
What were you most pleased with in your transition defense?
That we weren't in transition as much. To be honest with you, just the volume, the volume of transition defense was lower because we took care of the ball and we only had 6 turnovers. You could probably grab up 4 to 5 shots you'd like to have back. Or sometimes you'll get in the game and you'll have 10 to 12 shots you'd like to have back as a coach, and it's just too many. So I thought we just played within ourselves, showed some patience, attacked when things were there, and just didn't turn the ball over. They have 18 turnovers and we have 6. We out-rebounded. Right there it speaks for itself.
Matt, how do you sum up this week, starting at what happened a week ago at Illinois to where you're at today?
Yeah. Well, you don't get moral victories, against Michigan. I was proud that our guys played. Everybody's like, hey man, like you guys, we got beat, and we didn't win the game. And we very easily could have won that game, but we very easily could have got beaten or double overtime winning against Minnesota. We had a lot of things go our way at the end of that Minnesota game, and we got some real breaks, and we weren't one possession better than them, and so trying to get them back to that in terms of competing and not feeling good about a loss, but yet you made a stride from other night. The game in Illinois has to be an outlier for us. That can't rear its ugly head again. And as a coach, that's a lot of times you worry more through success than you do through failure. When you have that game in Illinois, if you don't respond, then you go to Michigan, you got some real trouble. Because the guys from a competitive standpoint can't fight after that. But I don't know how you can't fight any game, no matter what the circumstances are. So we just got to kind of keep building our fight.
Dustin and then Dave.
To go back to Evan, just how good was it to see him? He's obviously had a guy that's had to fight through a lot, not coming into this thing 1-13.
Right.
That was a generally good shooter. What's it say for him to be kind of stuck through everything?
Yeah, he stayed with it. It's hard when you're that next guy and you don't get consistent minutes. And it's something I always talk about, you know, we all want someone to play consistent and inconsistent minutes, that's just not the way it works. And, you know, he was ready to play tonight, and the defensive piece was huge, you know, taking those charges was big, and those 2 threes are big, you know, especially when you go in and you scout, and you're talking about stopping the paint and playing off somebody's, you know, actual percentages. And, you know, he's had a low percentage from 3, even though he's a good 3-point shooter, he's had a low percentage right now, and hasn't had success because it's hard when you play spot minutes. So when you can get that, you know, that energy from somebody, but you also are getting somebody scoring the basketball, him having 8 at halftime, you know, it's huge. You know, that's a great thing, you know, for your team.
And you got 5 days off now between games. It's your longest stretch in the Big Ten without a game. What do you do as a coaching staff, and what do you hope to see from your players to try to carry this momentum into the weekend?
Well, we're banged up a little bit, so we'll take a couple days off. You know, I always think 3 practices in a row is good enough to prepare for a game. You know, 2 practices as you get into things. You're not going to use as much as your time on the court as you start to get into February, as you do maybe in a walkthrough or shooting or, you know, film sessions, things of that nature. So we'll take a couple days off here, and hopefully Matt Harms can, you know, maybe even take more than that to help him get going. I thought he was a big boost for us, just his presence, knocking down a couple jumpers, getting some rebounds in 12 minutes, getting a couple blocks. So. But yeah, you know, Maryland's tough, and I don't even know who they play this week. I don't even know if they do play this week. So I just try to keep my focus on the next team, and we'll start to, you know, work on Maryland and get ready for it. But can't lose sight of the most important team, and that's your own. So hopefully we can get healthy and play well.
Anything else?
All right, thank you.